If you want to see amazing and exciting duels, informative and entertaining top 10 lists, and everything else that's just great about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, you gotta watch the Capital G Show. Shout out to my homeboy Dante. Hey. What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking about a new synchro monster that's going to be released in a couple of months in the OCG, just like a little over 2 months, like 2 months and a couple of days. Anyways, it's a new Red Dragon Archfiend monster. It's called Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and when I first heard that, I was like, man, Konami is getting really lazy when it comes to naming these cards, because don't we already have a card called like Red Dragon Archfiend, which is this, and then we already have another card called Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. They just added one word, and now they literally just made a third card and just added one more word into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, which again is already a card. So they're getting really lazy with the names, but that's all beyond the point. So this is coming out in this set right here in the OCG. It is the High Speed Riders booster set, which I believe has a new archetype called the Speed Riders in it. I saw these guys in another article on YGO Organization, but I didn't really cover it because I wasn't too, like, I didn't really know that much about the set. But this card is also going to be in the set, and it's interesting because, again, I don't watch Arc V or Arc 5, but it seems like we're really going into kind of like a new synchro era, which is cool because personally I believe the last year has been kind of like, well, if you kind of disregard Necros, I think that it's been kind of a fusion era where fusions have kind of like taken over between like Shadows and Spirit Beasts and whatnot, and obviously before that we had like an Xi era. So it's cool to see synchros coming back. So with all the new synchros, like, I'm not complaining. Anyways, this guy is a level 9 Dark Dragon synchro monster, 3200 attack, 2500 defense. So the stats on it are really good. I mean, you're pretty much gonna have to use something like towers or, you know, decisive armor, like the Necros of decisive armor, to get over this. You're probably not going to get over it in battle unless your deck uses like specialized tactics like Honest or Kalut or Bujinji Crane, something like that. So anyways, it requires 1 tuner plus 1 Dark Dragon non-tuner synchro monster to summon. Essentially, you have to use a Dark Dragon that's also a synchro. It can't be a tuner. So I mean, why would that be relevant? Well, there is this guy right here. This guy happens to be a Dark Dragon that's also a tuner. Let's continue with the actual effect because it has 2 of them, and to be honest, they're both actually really good. It says that the 1 and 2 effects of Hot Dragon or Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss can only be used once per turn. And effect number 1, during either player's turn, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls. That card's effect is negated until the end phase. Effect number 2, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target 1 tuner in your graveyard, special summon it in defense mode. So this card's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to summon. It's not the easiest thing in the world to summon. We'll go on that a little later, but let's just talk about if you actually get it on the board. This card is quite amazing. The fact that during either player's turn, you can just negate any card, and it doesn't. At first, actually, I just read this card and realized that it wasn't monster, that it's any card. Because I was immediately going to compare it to things like Giant Hand and Abyss Gaios and Doka, and talk about how we really don't have that much monster effect negation built into extra deck monsters. Like, not a lot of practical ways, as you know, like Abyss Gaios is kind of hard to make. Doka is like really specific. So the fact that you can actually negate back row is incredible. You know what I mean? Like, I imagine that would mean like if your opponent had a Miracle Fertilizer during their turn, you could just be like, all right, I'm just gonna negate that, and it's like, oh well, shit, I can't use it. Or if they wanted to, you know, use the effect of Mount Sylvania to stack their deck, you could just be like, negate. You know, you want to activate Gate to the Dark Worlds by pitching a card, okay, I'll just negate it. So this card is incredible, and again, it can activate it on both turns. And the second effect is good too. The second effect seems like it should always be live. I mean, it should be live at least the first time, because if you're summoning this card, then you use the tuner to summon it, which means that you should have a tuner in the graveyard. The only exception is, like, I don't know, if you use Plague Spreader Zombie or you used like Chi-Win or something like that where the tuner got banished, but generally you should have a tuner in the graveyard. So just the fact that you can get that tuner back in defense mode, if for nothing nothing else, like if you're not going to synchro during that turn, it's at least a chump blocker. I mean, it's just going to absorb one of your opponent's attacks in case the worst case scenario and you lose this card. You know, you have another monster on board to defend you. Now, summoning this card is difficult. Like, I'm not really going to sugarcoat that. And I'm thinking, I've looked through the card pool of Dart Dragons. I think there's two practical ways to summon them. I think that one is a little more difficult than the other, and I think one is like really specific, but it can be consistent. The first is to go to 8-1 ratio. The 8-1 ratio is to use a level 8 Dark Synchro Dragon and to use a level 1 tuner. And I say that because there are a lot of good level 1 tuners out there, like Glow Up Bulb, Spore, there's Chiwin. You know, there's a lot of ones that can be like special summoned from the graveyard with their own effects. So I'm thinking, and there's so many good level 8 Dart Dragons. There's Bills, Infernity Doom Dragon, Void Ogre Dragon, Dark End Dragon, there's 100 Eyes Dragon. Like, there's so many good level 8 Dart Dragons. Blackwing Dragon is okay. You can kind of throw them in that mix. There's the original Red Dragon Archfiend. And the problem with that is, and why I wish this card wasn't so specific, it being level 9 and whatnot, is if you try and use this in Yang Zing, the thing about it is, if you're synchroing for an 8 in Yang Zing, usually that 8 is going to get so many great effects built into it. You know what I mean? Like, you might be unaffected by traps, and you might get you know, 500 attack or whatever. Might be indestructible or indestructible by battle. And it's like, if you're using Chiwin and said 8 synchro, let's just say the 8 is a Red Dragon Archfiend, you're kind of giving up all those good effects. Like, they're not going to transfer over to this card, which means that it's going to be really vulnerable to, you know, like a regular bottomless trap or something like that. So I don't know if it's really that great in a deck like Yang Zing's, despite the fact that I think Yang Zing's are the best synchro deck out. If this card was generic, if it was just a generic level 9, this card would absolutely be a staple in Yang Zing's, because it would kind of cover some of the ground that the deck lost out on when Skill Drain went to 1, and that's just simple monster negation. Like, you'd be able to just summon this and be like, negate every single turn during either player's turn. So it would be amazing. The second way that I think that you can practically summon this, and you have to kind of think outside the box with this one, is by using Samsora and Debris Dragon. And it will require you to make Samsora like somewhere early in the game, and Samsora, if it dies, it's not like it's not going to replace it. It replaces itself anyway. But the thing is, once you get a Debris Dragon, you can just Samsora, Debris Dragon straight into this, and if you have 3 Debris Dragons, you can just constantly do it over and over. And when Debris Dragon dies, you summon it back in defense mode, and it's like, that's 2,000 ass is actually quite legitimate. So I think the Debris Dragon Samsora might be the most consistent way to bring this card out. It's just, it really is a shame that this card has so much potential, because both effects are amazing, especially just the one effect, but that they didn't make it generic, because let's be honest, like, how many good level 9 synchros do we have in Yu-Gi-Oh? I'm pretty sure you can count them on one hand. Everybody will immediately think of Trishula, which we can't even play in the TCG, so it's like, should we even list that card? And then, of course, there's Mistworm, which requires like 3 monsters. So if they would have made this card generic, its potential would have been through the roof, and I think that it would have been an absolute bona fide staple in Yang Zing, and it would have really like helped that deck a ton. But either way, the card is still good. It's just so fucking hard to summon. I mean, if you're going 8-1, you really have to kind of jump through hoops to make sure that you get that level 1 out. Like, maybe you might have to play 1-for-1, or you're gonna have to play like Glow Up Bulb or something like that, something that summons itself back from the graveyard, so that you don't invest all your resources into one card, which can get dark hold and you could just be kind of shit out of luck. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching, as always.